My boss hated me. How did this piece of paper get up your nose? No one to look at it. No one to admire it. Put your misogyny on the shelf. Call it a strike. They're mad. I'm just standing there mad. Imagine being forced to work with an incompetent group of people. At the end of the day, I didn't have any energy or patience to do anything that I liked. Imagine like I'm dealing with that one call after the next, after the next. I spent enough time there to know I could do the job of the CFO. Easily. My worst job was a salesperson at Nordstrom. Now, I love working with people, but the problem was I worked on commission. So I had a sales quota that completely stressed me out and made me feel like I wasn't caring for people the way that they deserve to be cared for. I talked people out of buying more ugly outfits than I can count. Like, I don't care if it costs me money. Ma'am, you are not wearing those pants out of this store. They do not flatter you. I will not let it happen. My boss hated me. I was a school nurse. So many bodily fluids and ways for me to be infected. One day, a child came in, he was complaining of like bad smells, right? Like he was like, oh, I smell poop everywhere. And I was like, okay, let's check this out. So, you know, I look in his nose and there is a piece of paper up there and it is molding. So I asked him, I'm like, sweetie, how did this piece of paper get up your nose? Because it could. No thought at all to the negative repercussions of snorting a piece of paper up your nose. I don't even want to tell you what he put in his ears. My worst job was working at a snow cone stand. And I know what you're thinking, dude, that sounds amazing. It does sound amazing, but the problem was, it was a super tiny stand, so only one person could work at one time. I had no one to talk to and no one to share my amazing creations with. I came up with this one snow cone called the Kiwi Mango Coconut Chocolate Surprise. No one to look at it, no one to admire it. Just me alone with the Mango Kiwi Chocolate Coconut Surprise. I quit after like 2 weeks. The worst job I've ever had is working at Lowe's in the garden center. And that sounds like a good job for me in theory. I mean, I love gardening. I like the organization involved in the job, but it was full of these tiny, dirty moths. Okay? They were everywhere. They were in your hair, they were in your clothes, they were in the plants, they were in the cash register. Like I tried everything I could think of to get rid of the little pests and they just proliferated. Like bunnies or like moths. And even worse than the moths, and that's saying a lot because the moths were disgusting, were the sexist men who didn't believe I knew what I was talking about. Like, sir, I've been using pruning shears since I was 13 years old. Put your misogyny on the shelf and accept that I know more than you do. My worst job was being an umpire. People were always mad at me. I call it a ball, they're mad. Call it a strike, they're mad. I'm just standing there mad. I even got hit in the face with a baseball once. Granted, it was an accident, but it felt like I was invisible. Like, all I want is for someone to say like, hey, you matter, like, we couldn't do this game without you. But no, all I got was scorn, anger, and baseball-sized bruises. My worst job was working at the Rainforest Cafe at downtown Disney. It's closed now, thank God. Imagine being forced to work with an incompetent group of people surrounded by elephant animatronics and the constant sound of parrots. When I quit, I vowed to never again hold a sparkling volcano. Never again will I be managed by incompetent people or rhinos or gorillas or anything else the rainforest has to offer. My worst job was working in HR. I was proficient in the laws and handbook and stuff, but it was a lot of social interaction. At the end of the day, I didn't have any energy or patience to do anything that I liked, like fishing or organizing buttons and things. When people opened my door, I would pop half a Hershey bar in my mouth just to get some sugar encouragement for the interaction. It got so bad, people were calling me Hershey. And I had no one to complain to because I'm HR. I was a 911 dispatcher. It was a lot of hours, a lot of overtime. I never had time for myself. But the worst part of it was I was dealing with all of these elevated emotions all day long, right? Like I'm talking to people on the absolute worst day of their lives. Fear, anger, sadness, grief, one call after the next, after the next, after the next. So I'm very empathetic. So yeah, I soak up emotions like a sponge. And I don't want to be a sponge. I want to be a poet. The worst job I've ever had was an administrative assistant. They stuck me in this old room sorting through old HR files to like organize them, I was all alone with nobody there to witness my cute little work outfits. And they were cute. And the worst part of it was there was no upward mobility. I was just there to sit in a room, organize crappy files, and go home. And let me tell you, I spent enough time there to know I could do the job of the CFO. Easily. And CFO doesn't stand for crappy file organizer. They're being way overpaid. Hello, Editing Abby here. I forgot to film an outro, so I just want to say thank you to my beautiful patrons for supporting this channel. Subscribe to this channel for new videos every week, and I will see you in the next video.